A few episodes ago, we had co-author Wolf Rusica on the show to talk about his book AI Driven and his thoughts on the AI landscape in DC. It's only fitting that we have the other co-author, Victor Shilo, on as well to share his perspective. Victor is our guest for this episode, and we talk about topics like his work at East Bank Technologies, the lost chapters of AI Driven, why the US military helped inspire Victor's AI-first mentality way back in 2019. The world was a lot different, and why Victor lives by the quote, "Innovation only happens in production." Let's get going. Welcome back to DC Decoded, where we break down what happens when artificial intelligence meets the nation's capital. I'm your host, Sam Lee. Today we have Victor Shilo joining us. Victor is an author of AI Driven, a book he wrote with former podcast guest Wolf Rusica, which I have right here, and he has as well a little more promo for you guys. Not that you necessarily need it given how successful the book has been in certain communities. He's the CTO of East Bank Technologies, an advisor to multiple startups, and a Stanford GSB alumni. In his current work, he leads a global team to apply scalable artificial intelligence and machine learning solutions to tackle customers' most complex business and technology challenges. An entrepreneur at heart, Victor has overseen the launch of 3 companies, including one acquired by Microsoft, and believes innovation only happens in production. Victor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sam. Nice to be here.
All right, so tell us about your work at East Bank and how you ended up in that position.
Well, I came to the US in 2005 and I joined East Bank Technologies as a junior developer. And then, it was the time, there were, no phones, no iPhones, obviously. And there were, a lot of classic, development. Many of us, don't even remember what group is and some other approaches how to develop stuff. But then slowly I was growing from developer to team lead to technical manager to head of department. At the end I was promoted to a CTO position. So we still work as East Bank Technologies, but last year we were also acquired by the company called Solved.
Yep.
And so I temporarily had 2 heads, CTO is done technologies, but also senior vice president of AI and data engineering. Okay. So now we are a bigger company and focusing on the same thing, on innovations.
Awesome. And you and Wolf put out this book last year, AI Driven. Wolf already gave his side of the story of how he got inspired to help write and then the process. But from your side, why did you also want to hop on the train of writing this book? And why do you think it's especially relevant now to C-suites to be reading this book?
Well, so before we decided to write the book, I was at one conference, I don't even remember which one, but it was not exactly the match for me. I came there and it was kind of random, who are all these people, what they are talking about, I do not understand. And it was kind of military oriented. But then there, we got to several sessions, and again, it was 2019. And they were talking about AI first approach in airplanes, how we do this, and this is what kind of structure we come up with using that and that, and for me it clicked that military is so ahead of private sector, and I came back and you know what, we need to focus on AI now. There is no way we can wait any longer. So it was way before ChatGPT, and any LLMs. No one even knew what LLMs are. The closest was NLP, natural language processing technologies. So I started promoting it within the company. I explained that AI first, it is similar to let's say mobile first. You start thinking about mobile development, mobile factor, but then you stretch it to the like desktop factor, and that was kind of innovative approach. So like AI first is also like, let's think about AI first, and then try to find the way how to, where and how it can be helpful. So like I was promoting, I got some pushback. Victor, like there is no market. Like why are you promoting it so heavily?
Sure.
And like, you know what, when it's gonna be market, we should be ahead of this. We should like have like everything ready.
Yeah.
So like I was kind of supported but not supported at the same time. But then at some point, like it clicked. There were like a few indicators that AI is coming. It's still before ChatGPT, and so like, okay, let's write a book. Like we got enough materials where we can explain what it is not.
Yeah.
And like let's see how it goes.
Can you talk a bit about those indicators? You just said there were indicators that AI was coming. Like, what were those for you that you could see?
So, for example, like machine learning, like was already popular, but there were tools on top of this, like growing like mushrooms after heavy rain. Like AWS, Azure, like all of them came up with like new tools, new technologies, new approaches.
Yeah.
And like you just look at the trend and you see like, okay, it goes this direction. Like it is still not LLM per se.
Sure.
Like AI can have like different forms and shapes, but it was no doubt that it's gonna be hyped, like extremely hyped, like in the future. So that was indicators from my side.
Okay, got it.
So speaking about like how we wrote the book, and we had two ghostwriters in the beginning, and the quality was really good in terms of how they write. So it's amazing style, but the content, the meaning, what we were trying to say, like we were lost here and there. And we were trying to fix it. We were trying to enrich it. But at the end, Wolf and I decided to rewrite everything from scratch.
Wow.
And we spent like all weekends, all holidays, like at his house, like at his apartment house. So, like one by one, like chapter after chapter, converting our thoughts like into like small articles, like in a book. So it was quite a journey. It took us like rewriting took us almost like a year, maybe even longer. And then when we were finished, ChatGPT was released.
Sure.
And be like, let's reread it. So let's just double check that it is actually still meaningful.
Right.
It is still relevant because ChatGPT changed everything, changed the perception. That is what is important. So it was kind of too artificial for people. Now it is natural. So we reread. So we had 4 chapters at the time. We're like, wow, everything is relevant. We actually like focus on foundation like so much. We're just missing one last piece, like what is generative AI? Because now everyone got accustomed to what ChatGPT is, like extremely fast. Let's focus on it. And luckily, like we had one more customer who did like amazing job in generative AI space, and like I remember that when we had a dinner with him here in DC, and like I explained him the concept. I explained him like, okay, let's focus on the chapter 5 like together. Like can you do it? And he said, like, yes, like, why not? Like, that is like really important for us. And then we spent like several interviews like together. And at that time, they were like way ahead of us in terms of understanding like what generative AI is, because they spent 4 years before ChatGPT like focusing on generative AI technologies. So in particular LLMs. And then like a few months later, like we got like our chapter 5 ready, like we packaged everything. There were like multiple revisions. We had like 4 editors from
Wow.
with different views, from business, from marketing, from like any other directions, and all of them, help to squeeze it like to the like very, very small, concise factor. But preserved the smoothness. Like, like I hope you agree that when you read it there is a story, and there are some logical steps when you can, okay, I got it. Like this is what they're trying to say, and we got the evidence, like how good or bad it is, and like there is some lessons learned.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Sounds like a normal, agonizingly long process to finishing a book, but I can vouch just as a reader, it is very concise, but still cohesive. There's narrative structure, as you mentioned, and those 5 chapters, in addition to the last one being generative AI, their digital transformation is inescapable, structured data for AI, AI first mindset, and data ops methodology, and then unstructured data for AI. So given that there are only 5 chapters that do cover a very wide range of not only concepts, but each case study is a wildly different company and client, what are the lost chapters? What are chapters that you think did not make the cut that are still important and relevant for businesses to understand?
During our like editing process, our editors didn't like some paragraphs, maybe like of our thoughts, but we were so excited about it, and they're like, you know what, we got it, but you lost your reader here, and that is not like what they're willing to read, blah blah. So like, you need to remove it, and we were so like upset in many cases.
Can you give an example of like one paragraph if you remember?
So I tried to convert these paragraphs to full-blown articles, and I published like most of them already. Like one of my favorite, I called the AI cave. Okay. So what is like AI cave? If you remember the allegory, the Greece allegory, the cave. It was written by Greek philosopher Plato. And in this allegory, people are chained in a cave, and they cannot see what is behind them, but they can see only the wall in front of them. So, and they can see shadows like on the wall. So, and the shadows, they see in the shadow can see like a bird or something else. And for them, this is the reality, because they don't know what exactly is happening behind their back. And that was the allegory which is so applicable now in the modern world, like what AI is and what AI is not. So AI is also chained in sort of cave, and can produce only results on the data we feed AI. Right. It doesn't have their own like observation. Okay, I'm here, like, and this is like my understanding of the world. No, like we just limit it. Okay, this is our slice of the world, like, or shadow of the world converted to data through like either articles or some numbers or whatever. And for AI, it's a reality, like, and it's a model. Whatever they see on this wall, like this is for them. This is like what they can think of. So, and again, so it is very, very conceptual, like to understand that whatever you put in, this is what you're gonna get out. In a nice, written in a nice way, but we were we spent only one paragraph on it, and it wasn't enough to explain what it is not. And there were like many like lost chapters like this, like we removed, and we're like, so this is so good. But anyway, we are still happy.
Yeah, sounds like budding material for a second book if you guys want to put yourself through that down the road. But maybe not right now. Maybe not right now.
Yeah.
Let's move to talking about AI in DC specifically. So there's currently a lot of upheaval at the federal level of government. You could take that really any direction. That's how much upheaval I feel like I personally see every day and at work. So from your perspective, Victor, what are the current challenges, but also benefits for AI companies navigating this relatively new landscape in DC with everything going on with the federal government and all the changes?
I hope it's not a political question. So
you can take it however you like. Take it however you like.
Like federal government, like I think is willing to support like any innovations in AI. So, and this is like what we read in the news. But on a practical level, I personally do not work with the federal government. I work with like state and local government. On a practical level, I can see that many adopting new like AI approaches extremely fast, and I can give you like a few examples like what they do. For example, like everyone got familiar with the chat interface. So how we interact with AI, we chat, right? Like many already knows like what RAG systems are, like augmented generations like approaches, the government, like at least state and local government, like sometimes their systems are not that easy, like to navigate through. There can be like multiple systems, like together, like or separate, and to get the information can be challenging from all of them. And I know it from my personal friends who needs to deal with this bureaucracy. So one of the approaches the government adopting is like building the like chat interface on top of their systems. So when someone comes with some question, the response is like generated automatically based on the data there. And they say, you know what? You don't have this license because blah blah and that simplifies extremely simplifies caseworker like routine, because like they got the answer like immediately, and it helps them to answer correctly. And this is just only one of the examples. Again, it takes time to develop this, but the outcome is amazing. So you got exactly what your customers, your visitors like are coming from, like the right answers. Others go like even further. They're trying to build models I'm not gonna name the agency, but they're trying to detect fraud, like in the data. So they and with LLMs now it is easier because you can analyze the documents and you can see the trace here and there. That is like next level. It is kind of investigator, AI investigator in automatic way, and like to help enforce the laws and like identify, okay, this is the bad actor, he is or she is, I don't know. abusing the laws, abusing the spirit of the law. Like
Right.
some laws, like you can abuse, not literally, but like you do some stuff on very close to
Sure.
to illegal, making it illegal. That stuff like is happening. That's happening. They are highly focused on this. They understand the power, and like at least state and local government, like they use like modern tools. They are like upgrading to like who are still behind. They are upgrading to modern tools.
Yeah.
And like we will, like I hope, but I also believe that the government is going to be more efficient, like at least on state and local level, and like they will make the life of us, like citizens, mere mortals, better.
Yeah, that's very encouraging to hear. I'm curious, based on your work in terms of the state governments across the country, how many approximately currently have these modern tools, these chat interfaces you're talking about, and how many approximately are still like more in the development phase? Because I'm sure it varies state by state. So just can you give an approximate like rate of adoption maybe across the country based on what you know?
It's a hard question. I cannot be factual. I can only say like my gut feeling, like
Yeah, base it there.
based on requests for proposals, like on RFPs which are published. DC is definitely like way ahead than many states, but it was historically this way. That technology, like in DC area in the government, like always were superior than in many other states. Like I also work closely like with some of the agencies in New York. They are also good, like I think. It is a different scale. DC is smaller and has more control, I think. Maybe more budget, I don't know. And New York City is like way bigger, so that
Sure.
the dynamic is different. Smaller states, I don't know, like I think some of them probably are waiting for a leader, like to showcases this is how we do it, and then they will copycat it, and this is like also a good strategy. And for them it is also like less pressure, like, to make everything like faster. Here in DC, like there are a lot of pressure. Sure. You're like a face of the country, like you need to do it like the right way.
Yeah. And to clarify, we mean DC as a state in a figurative sense. We don't want to get into DC statehood question maybe on this episode.
Yeah. So like I'm not political at all. So like, whatever I say is, just to simplify things.
Yes, exactly. And one other aspect I wanted to hit, you mentioned that back in that 2019 conference when you heard these military leaders talk, and you stated that you felt like military leaders were ahead of private companies in this AI-first, AI-driven mindset. Do you think that's still the case in 2025, or do you think it's more equal, or the dynamic has shifted in terms of military and then private companies?
It is hard to say, but I think it's hard to validate it. Back in 2019, it was clear to me that they are ahead. But I think it happens the same way as like with like GPS a long time ago. So like military was using it for their own needs first, but then civil market like adopted it, and like now everyone like no one knows where the street is, right? So we ended up in a world that we rely on maps more than anything else, and it happened like to me as well. So I follow directions. So they definitely they're moving forward, but like LLMs, like I think is not a product of like military. It's a product of like private sector, and as a result, I think military is assessing like what what kind of help they can get out of this, and like how to make it more secure, more efficient, and so on and so forth. In other areas, not LLM, but in other areas, they definitely like progressing. Like for military, it's always like life and death like situation,
Sure. Yeah.
and if like you cannot be behind your competitors.
Right.
Like everyone is investing like in this. I know like for sure. But like in what shape and what we like private sector like can get out of this, like I don't know yet. Like we'll see. Maybe it is robotics, and we will have sort of like Terminators first, like somewhere.
Wow. Yeah.
Maybe, like I don't know. Maybe something else. Hard to say at this moment.
Yeah, maybe I'll be talking to the robot version of you next time we chat about it. Okay, good to know. That's good to know about the military. Let's talk a bit about how all of this innovation is actually happening in a literal sense. And I think a big part of that is data centers. So the DC area, particularly Northern Virginia, is a huge data center market in the world. I think back in 2022, there was a report that said that the data centers in Northern Virginia accounted for 70% of all global internet traffic. And we can also see how much investment the region's been getting as well. We see AWS and our Amazon Web Services investing billions of dollars, Microsoft creating new data centers, and companies also increasingly relying on cloud native platforms like Snowflake, or Databricks for building AI solutions. So I'm curious, since DC and specifically the Northern Virginia area houses so much of the world's traffic, what kind of competitive edge does that give any entity in the region doing either AI research and just the region's technical capabilities overall?
It's a good question. I think, there are like a lot of big companies here in Northern Virginia. For example, Visa like has their one of their centers, and they have like a few of them in the world, and one of them in here in Virginia. So they definitely benefit like from having access to like closer like data centers. And I think the infrastructure is really good here, and access to the talents is good here, like to support all of these data centers. So it is like honestly like it's great, and government is close by, so they are also like wants to have these data centers. But all of these data centers, they are also they produce some gravitation effect. Other companies appears like nearby. One of them is, for example, Micron. Like they are building like a huge facility here, like in Northern Virginia, and Micron is producing memory. And for AI, memory like is so crucial. And now, because this facility is going to be here, like in Northern Virginia, I don't remember the exact day when it's going to be like finished, but it is happening. Then most likely that the logistic is going to be simpler, like to ship these like memory chips like to data centers, and it will continue to grow.
Yeah.
This is one of the largest already. Like if you look at like AWS services, for example, like typically in Northern Virginia, this is where new services appears first, and then they are being distributed to like other data centers. Amazon like moved partially moved like their headquarters here, like also in Virginia, also for the reason, be closer to the data centers. And it is booming, and it is not enough in our AI age. the like demand will grow, and I'm not sure. Like I'm still like questioning like where all of them are gonna get the power. But in terms of compute capacity, we will have more and more here.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up that question of power. Our first podcast episode featured Nathaniel or Nate Barola, and he's been doing a lot of work in the sustainability in AI space. And I think there's this overall growing scrutiny on the energy demands of AI, especially in data centers. So how do you see DC responding to that environmental cost of scaling of AI, if you see DC responding at all, or if it's a still build right now?
I don't know. Like what I hear, what I hear from youth is more nuclear plants are going to be built, and like maybe data centers eventually will adopt smaller factors of nuclear plants, the same which are used on submarines, for example. But it's going to be powerful enough to supply energy to the data center. From environmental impact, nuclear energy, if processed and handled correctly, doesn't produce much waste. It's not like a coal or anything. So, we'll see. But I can say that it is not only increase the power consumption, it's also make chips more efficient, and it goes from all directions. So hardware becomes more efficient, software becomes more efficient, altogether, and probably we're gonna have more power in the future. And altogether, it gives me a hope that we're gonna be fine. So we're going to be okay.
Yeah. Speaking of that hope, I have two more questions for you. The first one, I was talking to somebody a few days ago about the environment on the Hill right now with Congress, and if he believed if policymakers on the Hill are really understanding both the innovation and risks part of AI. And he seemed pretty cynical. He was like, there are some policymakers that get it a bit more, but some that are still maybe working with outdated information. So as AI innovation only continues to increase, whether that's private sector, military, et cetera, do you have hope that in DC specifically, our lawmakers can talk and regulate well with whatever AI innovation is coming? Or is that something you still feel maybe a bit more hesitation on from your perspective?
I don't know, but regulations is probably needed, in many cases. And it should be balanced. You add too many regulations, and your innovation spirit will fade away. You do not regulate at all, then it's gonna be so wild, and then fake videos, fake calls, fake stuff will appear everywhere. Then it's going to be also hard to navigate for people like me.
Sure.
So I can say that private sector takes everything responsibly. So the bigger corporations, so they are not trying to abuse it. And there are several frameworks which appeared already. For example, responsible AI framework, developed by Microsoft. And I visited I met with the author of this framework, and she explained to me that what is responsible AI. She asked me, Victor, what is responsible AI? I don't know. Sounds something very, very legal, regulated, probably I have to be compliant, the responsible AI. That was my impression. The reality is what responsible AI is a framework which helps to answer 3 questions, or maybe even less. So when you develop the system, like you need to identify and who can be hurt if something goes wrong, and you need to identify the way how you can mitigate it, and that applies to like everything. So you accept that the AI has a probabilistic nature. You accept that it can like hallucinate, or it can predict something like incorrectly. And then on each level, for example, on UI, you have like some like visuals, like, okay, like this is my prediction or whatever, like, and a designer needs to think that, okay, that can go wrong this way. Architect needs to think, okay, like when we produce the results, then there should be some way to correct it, for example. And like everyone like should be aware like what can go wrong, like who can be hurt, and how we mitigate it. They like not fixing AI, we just accepting the nature. Like regulations can be as simple as like everyone should adopt some framework to develop AI responsibly and like at least find the answers on this question. So like what can go wrong? We can, like we can match improperly. So AI is good with matching, but it can match improperly. But then how do we fix it? There should be some interface to fix it as an exception. I'm just simplifying. Like you develop it. You do not rely 100% on AI, and how to fix it if something is not as intended.
Right. Last question for you. You had this quote, innovation only happens in production. It's also in your LinkedIn headline. So simple enough, but why is this your quote? Why is this the one that you are promoting, and just talk about like why you believe in this?
Yeah. I'm very practical. And you can have like many like theories, the way like how it should be. But what does it mean to be practical? It means whatever ideas you have, they have to be validated. And they can be only validated if you put it on the market. If you are the only one who likes your idea, product, project, that's fine. That this is hard to call, for me, it's hard to call innovation. Innovation, what mass market like accepts. Like, okay, that is innovative, this is solves that kind of problem, and like I'm ready to pay money for this. So like, and this is why I say like innovations like can only happen in production, but you need to push it out, you need to get the feedback, you need to adjust the vision, you need to, like think about next iteration, and don't lock yourself in R&D environment only. So like release whenever it's possible, and move forward after that.
Well said. Victor, thank you so much for coming on DC Decoded.
Thank you, Sam.
That's a wrap for this episode of DC Decoded. I want to thank Victor again for his time. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe to DC Decoded on your favorite podcast platform, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. If you found this discussion valuable, we'd love it if you left a rating or review. It really, really helps others discover the show. For more on the DC chapter of the Gen AI Collective, upcoming events, and ways to get involved via collaborations or sponsorships, check out the links in the show description. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in 2 Wednesdays for the next episode.